Some things, we look over people's lives and we say, this is impossible. This is impossible. I can't ever be saved now, or I can't get over this problem, I can't get over this habit, or whatever it might be, I don't have a clue. But the fact is, all things are possible through God, and if you're striving, He will help you. He will help you. We all sit out here today, or right now, I can tell you right now, every one of us in here, including me, has got a lie in their head. They can't help it. The devil puts them there. I know there's a big deal and less temptation on what you really think about. I know I always thought that was a kind of a rotten trick when Jesus come along and said, now even if you lust after a woman, you're guilty of adultery. Man, everywhere a young guy looks now, he sees something he shouldn't, and he's got this natural reaction. But it says, when you look upon a woman to lust after her, big difference. If you see some kind of something that throws you off walking down the street, it's a lot different than going to some bar where they're taking their clothes off and being shocked. Give it some thought, folks. But the fact is, there's things inside us that will make us do things wrong. And there's some people that look perfectly normal, they have a perfectly normal life, but there's something in his head that you and I cannot understand. You know, a doctor can diagnose anything practically anymore with all their highfalutin equipment, but they can't diagnose a lie. Sometimes that's buried so deep in our heads we cannot get it out. And I got to be so careful. When I had a problem ever since I was a little child. My grandpa Case used to call it a gift to gab. Well, actually, it was a gift to exaggerate. I don't know if it was a gift to gab. I would always make the fish bigger. I would always make the rabbit bigger that I saw. Or what it wouldn't matter. I couldn't help it. If I made $5, I'd tell him I made $7. I don't know what that's about. It's a lie. I have to watch that very careful. And I'm very fussy about it now. If Rose says, what does the scale say today? I say to the point. Such and such point. I'm not going to tell you what the such and such is. But 0.2 or something. Because I don't want to blind. It's not because I think I go to hell for that. Because I want to serve God and follow His rules as close as tight as I can. Good. I want the blessings of God in my household. I want the blessings of God in our church. I want our nation to be blessed. It's not going to be because they've done kicked God out, most of them. There's very few good men running this country now. I'm just sorry to say it. It's a fact. Bunch of lecherous, bunch of thieving swine, practically. And you know how silly they look? You know how silly they look for the Supreme Court justice to sit up there in their big old chairs up there with their big mighty robes on and debate if there should be the 10 Commandments on public property and over their heads the 10 Commandments? You know how stupid they look? That's because if you don't believe, wisdom is, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. They don't believe it, even they're not very smart. This is not hard to figure out. You have to think about these things, folks. We want God's blessings in our life, our family, our church. We need to try to be more like Him. No, we're not going to be successful 100% of the time. And maybe not even 70% of the time. But we need to put forth that effort. And see, man can't tell what's wrong with your head. My wife can't even tell what's wrong with my head inside most of the time. But Jesus Christ knows every little nook and cranny in that brain of yours. And He loves you just the same. And He said, I'll help you. Now, I don't understand some things. Apostle Paul had a problem, had a thorn in his flesh. Don't know what it is. And a lot of people theorize it's possibly his vision never totally cleared up after he was struck on the road to Damascus. I do not know. But the fact of it is, he prayed 3 different times. I think it said, I can't remember, 3 different times. And finally he gave up praying about it. And the answer he got was, my grace is sufficient for thee. For some reason we might have to battle something all of our life to keep us out of other things. I don't know. I had a Christian friend one time that was a Pilgrim Holiness young man, and I knew him very well, and they were very strict about every little thing. And his big worry in life was, and I mean it just stressed him daily, he would grow a little bit of a mustache. And he didn't know if God wanted him to grow that mustache. And he worried sick about it, and he prayed about it, and he'd shave it off. Next time you see him, that little mustache. And I thought, well, you know, that's pretty silly, but you know what? If he's worried about this, he's not got the big items to worry about. If he's trying to make sure that he's that precise. I haven't seen him in a long time. I hope he's got a full beard. But the fact is, it was irrelevant to you and I, but to him, that was his battleground. For pity's sake, folks, if we can wrestle the little bitty things in life that we think might be tripping us up, those big things will take care of themselves. If you're really not worried about picking up a dime that might belong to somebody else, I just can't stand when somebody says, man, that clerk gave me back $100 too much. It's my lucky day. Boy, I was blessed. Oh, nonsense, you're a thief. You take it back to them. You go to hell for stuff like that, unrepented sin you will go to hell for, and we know what that is. That's breaking the laws of God.
Right.
We have to repent of those laws.
Amen.
You didn't gain when somebody else lost. That's not a blessing. It's just that simple. But if we strive to do it just precise the best we can, ask God to help us and forgive us, and I'm going to tell you what, I just tell you right now, go back and tell somebody you stole this from them and hand it back to them one time, see how it makes you feel. You won't be doing it again. I'm telling you now, if God bothers you about something, it takes care of it once. You don't do that anymore. If we tried to be that precise, we can again get all the blessings that God has for us. He can bless our nation. I don't know if it's too late for that. It doesn't really matter, but He can bless our lives, and He can put His sheltering arms around us. But we have to strive to please Him. We can't go on our own little merry way, worshiping ourselves and putting ourselves in front of God. We have to put God first. For pity's sakes, correct your children when they're just flinging God's name around like it's nothing. That's the third commandment. That's a very important one. We don't disrespect our God. We should not. I even get Phyllis, and every once in a while I'll say, my Lord, or something like that. Well, that's a common word for landlord or anything. And I think, why would I say that for?
Yeah.
I don't think one time ever in my life, I have no respect for some of these other great leaders from Buddha or any of that thing. And I know that they're important in their nation, but never once have I said, oh, Buddha.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Never once. But they think nothing. They're just ripping God to pieces all the time. Think about that, folks. That's where the sin's at, and Satan knows it.
That's right.
That's the top third commandment. Keep that in mind. And if something's going wrong in your life, you might turn off your foul mouth for a while and see if it improves. It probably would, and you won't even know. See, the blessings come from living right. Because see, once you follow those 10 commandments, and you're not taking God's name in vain, and you're following Him first, and you're not hurting the other people in your family because you're putting them first, and you're loving your neighbors for yourself, you're loving your wife, you're putting her first, you're loving your husband, and putting him first, and you're doing like Jesus said, all of a sudden your house feels blessed. When you give something to somebody else, it's not because you're done with it, it's because you're sacrificing. If you're giving something to church, it's a sacrifice. God taught us that with the widow and her mite. There was all these rich people throwing in her big change. God says that widow that gave her last will be more blessed than anybody. She gave the most.